Hello and thanks for joining me. Well, that T-nut we just made is going on the back of my Hardinge lathe, and it's going to be a spindle lock, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. For those of you that watched the rebuild on this, you might remember right here there was a, turns out it's a threaded adjustment for my backlash, but there's notches for a spanner wrench right there. I cut them in there because the previous owner of this lathe took a chisel and broke the casting right there, and I just milled them out real smooth. But I'm going to use those slots for a spindle brake. And to do that, I made that T-nut to go in this back slot, and I'm going to make a lever right here with a tab that engages with that with those slots. That way I can lock the spindle and loosen my collets. And also today we're going to make some kind of tool holder. I don't really like the lantern style. Not sure exactly how I'm going to do that yet, but those are the two things we're going to do today. No, I need to cut that off right there and put a spring right there. Okay, I'm going to put this rusty screw in there. It's the shortest quarter 20 socket head I got. The head is the same diameter as this transfer punch, so I'm just going to use the transfer punch to locate that hole. I drill a hole back here for a spring. Need to cut that off. Make sure that spring is going to work first. Okay, that's my emergency stop. I'm just kidding. I like it. I'll paint that up same color as the lathe and make it look like original. Anyway, that wraps it up for the spindle lock. Still would feel better about a stronger spring. I'll have to find one. Okay, let's get started on this tool holder. First thing we got to do is make a T-nut. Probably going a little slow for this 5/8 bit. Yeah, I need to go a little bit narrower. Could be a little tighter, but that's a good fit. Okay, I need to go 4/16 in. And it's about 2 inches wide. I need to go 1 inch in. I'm threading that for 3/8, so I'm going to go with 5/16. I think that's going to run into my parallels. Did a little bit. Those are homemade parallels, not really precision, so I'm not too concerned about them. Don't want to eat them up. But. Okay, here's my plan. I plan on making blocks like this to hold the tool, drill a hole through it, put a nut on top, put a couple of set screws in there to hold that, cut a slot in there, and permanently mount a tool to the right, try to mill it the right height, but if I need to, shim it, and that tool goes with that block. Then when I want to change tools, you take the block off and put a new one on. Not a quick change tool post, but I think it's going to be the most solid. And I'll just make a bunch of those. That's cheap steel, 1.25 inch square. And to find the center height, I've got the center in there. I'm going to just do like this. The center in there's got a dull point on it, so it'll make kind of a broad line. But that'll get, the center of that line is the top of my where the top of my tool needs to be. So I'm going to mill down for this tool 1/4 inch down from that. Got a 5/16 end mill. This tool holder is going to be for 1/4 inch. Okay, I could do a lot of measuring and everything, but I'm going to mill the bottom of the tool holder is toward the back jaw of my vise, or that's the compound side. So I'm going to mill on the top just a scratch pass, and make it so I'm halfway through that line and then move it 5/16. Excuse my head. That's probably about right. So reset my DRO, go 3125. Well, I think I messed up on this one. I was supposed to go 1/4, not 5/16. After I made that first mark. But I got 5/16 tooling, so this should work for the 5/16. Yeah, I was right. It needs to go up that much. So if I go up exactly 1/16 from where I'm at there, it should work out perfect for the next one. So reset my DRO and go 62 thousandths. Well, that's probably kind of hard to see, but that is dead on center. Put a stud in there, and I think I'll make the stud with short thread so it jams down into that without going through, and just leave it on there. Put a nut on top. So the next step is to put a couple of set screws in there and make a bunch more of these. Making these 1/4-inch set screws. I don't like going with really small set screws, but 1/4-inch is right on the edge of that, so I fudged a little bit toward the center, and the 1/4-inch is going to be close to breaking through. So it went in just a little bit. Well, I got these dog point set screws, flat tip, whatever. I think they call them dog point. A little long, but they'll work. I cut that a little bit shorter. That way if I have to run to this side of my compound, it's not hanging out too far. Need to clean some of the rust off of that, but let's give it a try. Something I need to do here anyway is measure that to see how parallel my compound is. .594, 597. So it needs to go that way. Let's see. That's my brass hammer. .581. .5815. .5815. I believe I got that exactly parallel. Easier than I expected. I'm not sure how close I can zoom in on that, but check out that finish. That's really a nice finish. So the next obvious question on this is why not put a tool over here? So I can just turn it around and use the other tool. Well, I might do that, but this side of the tool could get in the way. Of course, I could have a shorter tool. Probably logical to have a shorter tool. I may do that. I may do that. Well, I like my new calipers. Thanks, Harold. Well, I like it. That about wraps it up for today. The lathe got kind of broke in, got kind of dirty. I got some oil on this fumed oak, and it wiped off and looked just the same, so that's a plus. Join me next week. We'll work on the turret tailstock. We're going to make this turret tailstock work, I hope. It's been sitting here collecting dust for a while. I've got to do some serious surgery on this. Somebody was in the process of modifying it to fit a 9-inch lathe, and mine is a 7-inch lathe. They were making a new turret for it. The holes for these chucks are supposed to be right in there. So I think I can salvage this turret, but I've got to modify this turret. I'm also going to use the Hardinge to make some of the parts for this, to modify some of the parts. So that'll be interesting. Anyway, that about wraps it up. Thanks for joining me. Be sure and subscribe and come back next week and we'll make this thing work, I hope.